Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show Mind Over Habits. Today, artificial intelligence has become one of the most talked about topics in the world today. Some people see it as the greatest opportunity of our generation. Others see it as a threat to jobs, creativity, and human relevance. But what if both perspectives are missing the bigger picture? Today's guests believe that the conversation shouldn't be about AI replacing people. It should be about empowering people through AI. This episode is packed with practical insights, real world examples, and leadership lessons that can help all of us better understand where AI is heading and how we can prepare ourselves for the future. If you have ever wondered why AI will still change your career, your business, or your life, you are going to enjoy this conversation. So the guest is Fahed Bizzari. Guess I pronounced the name right? So
Yes.
Fahed Bizzari. So Fahed is a keynote speaker on AI empowerment, author of AI empowerment, top down, inside out, and managing partner of Bellamy, Alden, an AI empowerment consultancy based in Dubai. In early 2023, he launched the world's first in-person ChatGPT training program and was later recognized among the top 0.1% of ChatGPT users globally. With more than 23 years of experience spanning businesses, consulting, technology, and transformation, Fahed has worked with organizations including El Ori, Atlas, Copaco, Dubai Police, Shiseido, and many others. His mission is simple but powerful, helping organizations move beyond AI adoption and forward AI empowerment. Today, he will share practical insights on leadership, transformation, the future of work, and how individual and organization can thrive in an AI world. Fahed, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Right, it is a pleasure to have you here. So, for our listener meeting you for the first time, tell us about your journey and how you became one of the leading voice in AI empowerment.
People ask me how I got into AI, and the answer is it's been my whole life has been leading up to it. My first business back in 2002, when I started, I had the vision to build a business that would be fully automated. And at that time, they thought I was crazy. By 2005, it had become a fully automated business. And when I used to look around the world at that time and see that people are still not using the internet effectively in business, I felt very sad for them. So then I got into consulting to help other people with their businesses and to take advantage of the internet. That would eventually be called digital transformation. And along that journey, again, I came to realize how businesses were so unsystematized. And so I got into systematization to a great degree. So over these 20 years, 20 plus years, everything I've been doing has all been about how can we multiply and amplify the impact of people. And so when AI, we started using AI in early 2022 before ChatGPT was launched. And at that time, it was a bit difficult to get our heads around. But when ChatGPT was launched, everything made sense. And very quickly, and I mean very quickly, December 2022, I immediately realized that this tool can provide similar results to me as a professional with 20 plus years experience. And from that point forward, I realized that the most important value I can bring to the world is helping other people to be empowered with this technology. And that has been my full-time obsession since late 2022.
All right, thank you for sharing that journey with us. So you have said that most organizations have adopted AI, but very few are empowered by it. What is the differences between AI adoption and AI empowerment?
The difference between AI adoption and AI empowerment is that as soon as you have access to any AI tool, you have effectively adopted AI. There's some research that shows over 50% of the people in the workforce use AI one way or the other. And there's other research that shows over 50% of the workforce are hiding their use of AI one way or the other. So when you put the 50% who have declared they're using it and the 50% who have declared that they're hiding using it, actually what we get is the discovery that everybody in the workforce is using it. Empowerment, however, is something else. Empowerment is when the full power of AI becomes your power, that AI is an extension of you. And in the same way that you would reach for your telephone or the same way that you would reach for your computer, in the same way that you reach for AI. We have a framework that we use with different characteristics. One is the AI empowered organization, and the other is the AI empowered person. The AI empowered person, basically, the empowerment means that number one, they use it instinctively. Number two, they are using it on their most important work, not the most shallow work, not the easiest work, not just writing an email or writing something simple or just writing in general, but they're tapping into, they're using it for their most important tasks within their business or in their profession. And then the third one is that the depth of the AI. The AI can be used to such extents, but people are using it very, very lightly. And so when we talk about being empowered by AI, it's the full power of AI that now becomes available to you. And then the last one for the individual is that they're using it safely. And this one is huge because so many people, are trying to take advantage of AI, and in actual fact, they're putting themselves and their businesses at risk.
All right. So many people are excited about this AI, while others are fearful of it. What do you think are the biggest misconception people have about AI today?
People, like you said, there are some people that are holding back from AI. They're scared about AI. There are other people that are excited about AI. And, you're asking about misconceptions. When you look at half a cup of water, is it half empty or is it half full? This is a conversation that has been talked about for, decades. Really, it comes down to the perception of the person. The person who sees that AI is an opportunity, AI will become an opportunity for them. And for the person who sees AI as a threat, AI will be a threat for them. And so the most important thing for all teams worldwide is to start seeing, and it sounds easy the way I'm saying it now, but this is where, the effort needs to be to help people to start to see it in a positive light. I'll give you an example. At the moment, many people talk about AI transformation. We don't like talking about AI transformation because when you think about AI transformation, well, transform into what? Well, transform. Why should I transform? Why am I not good enough as I am? So we don't like to talk about transformation because we know that it triggers this type of responses. We like to talk about empowerment because what we're talking about is how the human being plus AI can actually be more than the human by themselves. I'll give you another example. A lot of the discussion at the moment now is about building up a digital workforce, digital employees, digital workers. I mean, you just imagine being in a team where your boss talks about introducing digital workers next to you. So when we are working with our clients, we don't talk about digital workers, we talk about digital teammates. Because then on that basis, when people are building out AI, they look at it as building teammates to help them rather than building workers to replace them.
Hmm. That is so valid, Fahed. So you launched the world's first in-person ChatGPT training program in early 2023. What did you see happening at that time that convinced you this was a major shift?
So the first moment I realized this was a major shift was actually in December 2022, when I had the luxury of having free time. I was on a sabbatical with my father working on a nonprofit project. And what you'll find is that the number one barrier to people embracing AI is competing priorities. People have other things to do aside from learning AI. And I had the good fortune at that time of the free time and working on a nonprofit project. So I was able to explore and try things and try things. And I'd already been using GPT earlier that year, already had years of experience in software development, in consulting, in different aspects of business. So I was able to push it in all sorts of different directions. And so that's when I had the realization that this is a complete, this is a complete game changer in its entirety. Now, I began helping other people with their understanding of AI in February 2023 when I was on transit in Dubai. During that time, I had lived in Dubai before, and so whilst I was here on transit, I thought to myself, okay, let me reconnect with the people I used to know. And the conversations I had with all of them went the same exact way. I would say to them, so tell me, how are you using ChatGPT? And they would respond, we've heard about it, but we're not using it yet. And I would just think to myself, oh my God, you guys think that you're 3 months behind. You're not. You're 3 years behind. Because once you start to be empowered by AI, you end up with 20x productivity, 40x productivity, 50, 100x productivity. You end up being able to do work that previously would have taken you a year. You end up being able to do it within a few days. And if you're doing work in parallel, you can do 3 years of work within 1 month. And so that's really, the big lesson I saw at that time was that people were not moving as fast as they should be. And still to this day, people are not moving as fast as they should be. You see people who are saying, oh, yes, we use AI, but actually they're still stuck in a 2025 outlook, and we're about to be entering into 2027.
Okay, so you have worked with organizations across industries. What are the most common mistakes leaders make when implementing AI?
The most common mistakes that leaders make when implementing AI is to think that it is an IT challenge. Leaders look at AI in the same way that they look at IT, and so then they pass the responsibility to the people who are responsible for IT. That could be a chief technology director, it could be a chief information officer, it could even be somebody who's not even that senior. It could just be an IT manager. And that is a complete mistake because AI is not a tech challenge with a people component. It's a people challenge with a tech component. And the solution is the mindset to realize that at the end of the day, the company wants to be empowered with AI. What they need to do is empower their people with AI. And the result of that is that the people will empower the company with AI.
Okay, so one of the themes in your work that really stands out is the idea that technology alone doesn't create transformation. People do. So let's explore that further. You often say that AI training changes individuals but not organizations. What do you mean by that statement?
Most AI training is actually at the end of the day focused on awareness. If you go and see if you go and see AI programs and you sit in them, at the end of the day, what does a person walk away with? They walk away with a realization that, oh my God, there's this thing called AI. It's pretty crazy. It can do lots of crazy things. And then what happens is the next day they go back to doing work how they used to. They end up, whatever they learned during that small training program has not actually made its way back to the work that is taking place in the company. So the person is being transformed slightly through a bit of awareness, but the company is not being transformed because it's not reaching the company. The counter approach to having to do this is that, first of all, training programs should not be about information. It's not about the information of AI. It should be training people into actually working with AI. And the work that they do during the training programs should be the work that they do in their day-to-day work. So they're not being taught about AI in isolation. They're being shown how to do their day-to-day work using AI over a period of time. So in actual fact, they start to develop the knowledge, the insights, the habits, and so on that allow them now to start changing the work of the companies that they work for.
All right. So let me ask this: why do individual productivity gains from AI often disappear at the organization level?
The number one reason why individual productivity gains disappears at the organizational level is because the organization has not actually created any infrastructure for what we call knowledge flow. Knowledge flow is the idea that what one person learns gets transferred to the other. Earlier on, I was telling you that there is research that shows the number of people who hide their use of AI. One of the reasons why people hide their use of AI is because they feel that it gives them an edge over their peers within the company. And so they feel that if they share this, they will be giving away their edge. But also, if the company is not proactively encouraging and acknowledging and rewarding people for their own AI innovations that they're bringing into the company, there's no counter benefit for that person to start sharing it with them. You know what I mean? So companies have to realize that one of the best ways of identifying value of AI is simply to open the doors of how your teams are using them. The more that teams can be encouraged to show what they're doing, the more the company can embrace it.
Okay, let me ask this: how do organizations enhance individual productivity via AI?
I didn't understand the question, Moses. Could you ask again?
Sorry, you said, like, my question is that how do organizations enhance individual productivity via AI, via the use of AI?
So how do organizations enhance the productivity of their teams through AI? Of training is essential. When I talked about training earlier on, that it's not, no, training is essential, but it's the right type of training. And so, there are two types of employees within the company. One type of employee, all of their work is being done on specific software. So if you think, for example, about, let's say, a FedEx driver or DHL driver, or, they walk around with these kind of devices where everything happens on that device. They don't actually have to do anything outside of that device. So for them, it's not about teaching them AI. For them, it's about the company using AI to improve these tools that they use. But then there's an entire category of knowledge workers who sit behind desks all the time. They're accessing the internet, they're accessing Microsoft 365 or Google Docs or whatever. They're writing reports, they have to come up with solutions and so on. And AI is providing every individual within the company his own team. People used to describe AI as being like an assistant. In actual fact, if you know what you're doing, your AI becomes your team. So for a company to empower their staff, to improve the productivity of their staff, they have to empower their teams to know how to work with AI on this basis, because then AI will multiply them.
Now, what would you say about organizations who are worried about employees using AI tools without approval, often called shadow AI? Why do you view shadow AI as a signal rather than a compliance failure?
Yeah, you're spot on there. I look at shadow AI. Sorry, let me say that again. We look at shadow AI as a type of blessing, because when the decision about how AI is going to be used in the company comes from the top, it's usually coming from a point of view that is influenced by media, it's influenced by what, people have seen and heard and so on. But when it gets down to the bottom of the company, those people, if they are using tools outside of the tools that designated by the company leaders should look at those tools and ask themselves the question, what do those tools offer that the tools we have whitelisted do not offer? Because now that opens up the mindset, that opens up the vision to say, okay, our whitelisted tools are missing all of these features, which our staff consider to be that important that they're willing to use non-whitelisted tools with. So it's a signal of where your internal tool set is not delivering value. Now, don't get me wrong, shadow AI is a disaster. For employees to be using shadow AI, to be using their own tools, their own personal AI, it's a complete disaster. And I'm not saying that they should, but where they are, it should not now become something that you punish them for. It should now something that you, and not reward them, it should be something that you acknowledge and give them the opportunity, like an amnesty, to let you know what tools they are, so that you as a company can now find alternatives for them that are whitelisted, or maybe even whitelist those tools that they're using, to do the checks necessary, and then whitelist those tools.
So, you believe AI should be led through people, not despite people. What does that look like in practice?
So when I say that when I say that AI should be done through people and not despite people, this goes back to the idea that somebody at the top of the company is making an announcement of how AI should be done in the company, and they just roll it out and they make an announcement. And now the next thing you know, you have an entire workforce that have had AI kind of forced upon them. They had no say in what AI should be. They had no say in where their challenges are that AI could help. They had no say in which tools. They had no say in which workflows. They are not part of the company's transformation journey anymore. They are now the recipients of the journey. And it's very important because, the reality is that people are, there's a love-hate relationship that everybody has with AI. And a lot of people, it's swinging between love and hate massively. On the one hand, it's so helpful, it's so good at helping me in my job. On the other hand, oh my God, maybe it could actually take my job. So employers, businesses, they all have to make an extra effort, not just to bring AI into the company, but to make their people part of that journey. Because at the end of the day, if you had a company of 1,000 people and you removed all 1,000 for AI, who's going to run the AI? So it's not about people or AI. The winning solution, we see again and again, is people plus AI, and that means you have to win the people. And the reality is they know the work better than you do. They know the work better than your consultants. They know the work better than your advisors. They know the work better than the leaders. The people who are doing the work themselves are the ones that need to be a part of the AI empowerment journey.
So, how do you think AI will reshape the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years?
Moses, I didn't hear you.
How do you think AI will reshape the workplace over the next 5 to 10 years?
When it comes to the next 5 to 10 years, okay, when it comes to the future, there's no real way in knowing how AI will reshape the workforce or the workplace. What we do know is that the nature of a lot of human work is changing. Because if you are in a team and one team member is good at managing and the other team member is good at doing, what it means is that the people who are good at managing will manage the people who are good at doing. And the people who are good at doing should be managed by the people who are good at managing. So AI is an excellent worker. You know, it doesn't sleep, it doesn't have needs, it can be programmed, repetitive, it can be multiplied, etc. But it will always need managers. So AI is an excellent doer, but it will always need human managers. And so human work and where the value of humans is now growing is in the ability to work with AI alongside of AI, and most importantly, to manage AI. So the biggest shift we're going to see is a lot of work that was previously done by humans will now be done by AI. And a lot of those people, a lot of the human beings will now need to shift into managerial roles where they are managing the AI.
Okay, do you think creativity, emotionally intelligence, and critical thinking become even more important in an AI-driven world?
Absolutely. In an AI driven world, creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, all of these things become more valuable because these are all the things which are all the most human. And so if you now have the AI doing more and more of the work, it means what's left of the human is to be human. And that's where these qualities are become very important.
All right. For someone who feels overwhelmed by AI or doesn't know where to start, what practical first step would you recommend?
So if somebody is feeling overwhelmed or shy, or sorry, let me start that again. If somebody is feeling scared or overwhelmed by AI, what I would advise them to do is to spend some time exploring AI, but with a paid model. You see, the AI companies have as a whole, they have two models that they release to the public. One of the models is cheap or free, and the other model is paid for. So the free model is designed to provide quick results, but it's not always very good. Whereas the paid model will provide extremely intelligent responses, but it's a bit slower. So if you want to, they have a phrase that says, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So if somebody is now going to go and explore AI and start having deep conversations with it to try and understand what it's capable of doing, they need to be doing it with the paid models, not with the free models. The other thing I would advise is, we live in an age where information is available everywhere. You can go to YouTube and find free educational videos. You can go to paid training platforms like Udemy and find paid courses, etc. There's really no excuse. There's really no excuse for anybody to go out there, make a decision that every Sunday I'm going to spend it watching AI videos, AI tutorials. Every day I'm going to spend 1 hour, etc. There really isn't any excuse. The only thing that will be holding them back is some type of emotional pull, of this whole unfamiliarity. And then the person just needs to push through that. Maybe hang out with people, who have pushed through it themselves.
So, if you could give one piece of advice to business leaders, professionals, and young people preparing for the future, what will it be?
Well, if I was to give one piece of advice to the businesses on what to do, I would tell them that they need to increase their budget for AI. They need to increase their financial budget. They need to increase their time budget. They need to increase their manpower budget. I mean, the edge that AI gives a business, either it's going to go to your business or it's going to go to another business. It's as simple as that. Those companies that are able to be, those companies that empower themselves with AI will become 10 times more efficient and effective than your business, which means your business will become 10 times less efficient and effective. So the advice I give to businesses is please, you have to increase your budgets and stop delaying. As for young people, it's a really tough one. I have 5 kids, and I see the struggles that they're going through where they are questioning university, they're questioning the traditional workplace, they're questioning everything. And, you know, the only advice I can give to them is to just keep on learning and develop a passion for learning. The big challenge that young people have is that there's a big pull between entertainment and education. You open up your telephone, you've got TikTok and Instagram and YouTube Shorts, and it's so easy to just get lost in a world of entertainment, following streamers and so on. And meanwhile, your own life is passing by month after month, year after year. And when you look at yourself at 23 and you look at yourself when you were 17, you see actually you haven't achieved much. Whereas education allows the person to start working on more opportunities, see more opportunities, become more useful to more people, etc. So I would definitely, the advice I would give to young people is please, the amount of time you're giving to entertainment, you need to be giving more than that to your education.
This has been an eye-opening conversation. One of the most important takeaway from today's discussion is that AI isn't fundamentally a technology story. It is a human story. Technology may continue evolving at an extraordinary pace, but the organization and individuals who succeed will be those who learn how to combine innovation with judgment, leadership, curiosity, and adaptability. Your perspective on AI empowerment offers a refreshing alternative to both fear and hype, focusing instead on practical action and meaningful transformation. Thank you for sharing your expertise, experience, and insight with us today. But before we wrap up, where can listener connect with you and learn more about your work, your book, and AI empowerment?
The best way of connecting with me is through LinkedIn. My name is Fahed Bizzari. I am the only Fahed Bizzari in the world, apparently, so I should be easy to find.
All right. Thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much.
And to everyone listening, if you found value in today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who wants to better understand the future of AI and work. Remember, technology doesn't determine our future. How we choose to use it does. Until next time, keep learning, keep adapting, and keep building habits that prepare you for the opportunities ahead. I remain your host, Moses. Thank you, Fahed.